Welcome back to Daily Encouragements. I'm here in the podcast studio. Jaden and I and John have just recorded our 7th podcast, and I'm about to go and do some recording for the Preach on Sunday. We're going to pre-record it, which is something we've never done before. So today I just wanted to encourage you with 2 questions. And the first question is, what do you do when you're under pressure? What do you do when when you don't know what to do? And today I've just felt there's so much going on. There's some issues I'm trying to solve. There's a pressure on me. There's certain not performance things in a bad way, but there's certain things I have to do today and tomorrow. And Bonnie's got some live streams, and I got some potential clients wanting to do some stuff, and we've even got some maintenance work happening on the building. And sometimes you just get into moments of life that are pressured. You get into moments of life that there's just too much on you to handle. And so the first question I want to ask is, what do you do when you got pressure on you? And the second question I want to ask is sort of an answer to the first question, which is, how do you persevere through that? I personally have this idea that if you hang on long enough, if you stay in the game long enough, something will change, something will shift, where something new will happen, or there'll be new information, or something will pop, and you'll get a result that maybe you didn't even notice before, or you didn't even expect or think it would happen. And I always think of Abraham when in Romans it talks about him hoping against all hope. That means that in the natural and in everything that he could experience around him, there was no option, there was no possibility, there was no way through, and yet he still maintained a level of hope, so that it was called faith. He had so much hope, despite the impossible, that the Bible says he was credited as righteous. That means he had right standing with God. God ticked the box of saying, hey, this is a cool dude. And that we call faith. That hoping against all hope is what we call faith. And so when you're under pressure, you don't know what to handle first. You don't know how to get there. You don't know how it's going to work out. You don't know how you're going to pay the rent or eat a meal at the end of the day. Often we will default to human abilities, and we'll try and work harder, or we'll try and get a loan so we can pay back the debt, or we'll try and push things later so we can try and manage for the moment. Even though those interest rates are coming and are going to become even bigger, we'll try and just delay the inevitable. And that's not what hope is. Hope is not delaying the inevitable. Hope is leaving the door open for options that you haven't seen yet. And so my advice to myself right now, because I'm under pressure and I'm feeling the pain of that pressure, and I don't understand how everything's going to happen. My advice is just stay in the game, because something is going to come around the corner that will change the game and give you a positive result. And if you try and quit the game too quickly, or throw your toys out of the cot, or have a tantrum, or start to kick the dog so that the dog reacts so that you can get out of the thing. I've even heard of people driving into head-on traffic sometimes to try and get out of the pain of the pressure. And if you try and take the cheap way out, you close the door on hope. You close the door on opportunities coming that you didn't expect. And so my advice to myself and to others, just stay in the game. Just stay under the pressure. Get comfortable in the uncomfortable. And the longer you learn to stay in the game, the more perseverance you'll build in your life, the more perseverance you'll have, the more capacity you'll have to drudge through that pain and just walk through the mud and make it through. I've heard about the SEALs having something called the 40% rule. And what they say is, when you've reached your ability and you've got nothing more in the tank and there's no more energy and you can't do one more push-up, you can't take one more day of the pain, the SEALs mentality is you're only at 40%. I think that's crazy, but they are able to do things beyond what we think is humanly possible, because they understand that the human capacity is bigger than what we feel it is. And so if you just rely on emotions and you just try and go through the motions using your emotions, you will limit your capacity to handle what's around you. But when you stay in the game and you're just going to I'm going to make it through. I'm going to try my best. I'm going to give it another shot. I'm going to keep on swimming. That's when you leave the door open for the miraculous. That's when you leave the door open for results you never thought were possible. So when you come under that pressure, there's that spiritual element, I think, where you just stay in the game. You just doggedly go, I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to quit until it's done. Pastor Bob Nichols, I heard that from. You just don't quit until the job is done. And then there's some practical elements and there's some human things that we can do. When I'm under a lot of pressure, what I do is I start to bite my nails, I pull my hair out, I scratch my scalp, I go to the fridge, I do all of those things that all of us do. And what I don't do when I'm doing this negatively is understand all of the things that are required of me. And so I avoid them. When I'm doing this positively and when I'm actually facing the pressure that's on me, what I'll do is I'll take a list and I'll write down everything, not in order, not in some sort of clever strategic way, just as it comes to my mind. I will write down, okay, I've got to feed the dog, I've got to clean the windows, I've got to pay the tax, I've got to meet this person, I've got to re-email that person, I've got to solve this problem. I'll write it all down, big to small, every little thing. And then once I've written it down, I feel a sense of relief because often it's not as bad as I first thought. And so once I've got, let's say it's 25 things, it's not always that much, then I'll go through that list and I'll order them in terms of importance. What's the most important thing I need to do? And I'll put that at the top, and the least important thing I'll put at the bottom. Now, the next thing is counterintuitive. It looks like, and the advice is, and I think it's even good advice, you start at the big things and you work your way down. Personally, I like to build momentum in my life. And so often I will go to the smallest thing. And the smallest thing is often an email or a WhatsApp or reply to this or make this decision on a small scale. And Bonnie will often say to me, hey, are we going to do this? And I'll be like, let me think about it and get back to you. And so it's just a small little decision. And so I will work from the bottom up the list. And as I work up the list, I feel a sense of accomplishment with the first little thing because I ticked it off the list, right? I get such a feeling of accomplishment when I cross that thing off. Often I use a pencil because it feels good to cross it out. And when I finish that first thing, I get a little bit of momentum. So I'll go and accomplish the second thing and the third thing. And because they're easier things, often I'll do 5, 6 things in 5 minutes. Because number one, I categorized things in order of importance, and then I bit off the smallest part. And as I move myself up the ladder, I can often finish that half the list in a couple hours. And because now my list is so much smaller, the next time I approach my to-do list, I now feel already a sense of accomplishment, and I can bite off some of those bigger things. I feel fresher, I feel less distracted, I feel less under the weight. And because that momentum is on my side, I'm able to accomplish more. Not only do I get the job done, but the next time I feel under pressure, now I've got a little bit more muscle, I've got a little bit more strength, a little bit more capacity to deal with those problems that come. And so that's a way to manage the pressure that comes on you. But let me ask you the question, what happens when there's just too much, where it's just beyond your human ability? The first thing I would do, even if it's a small thing or a big thing, the first thing I would do is get into a headspace that is calm. So for me personally, I'll go for a run. If it all gets too much and I start getting my running shoes on, Bonnie knows something, it's beyond me. She knows something's really wrong. And I'll put my running shoes on, and I'm a little bit fat right now, but I'll go for a walk. And I'll just walk, and I won't worry about my list. I won't worry about the pressure. I'll let my brain just go bzzz and run through all of the things that it's trying to process. And for the first 20, 30 minutes, it's just noise. And I let that just wash over me and run out of energy. And after about 20, 30 minutes, sometimes it's longer if you don't have this as a habit. Sometimes it's 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. Your brain will just jump to and fro and just think through every iteration it can. And sometimes it'll loop back and get stuck in loops. Just let your brain run out of gas. And often by the time I'm walking back home or I'm running back home, I'm now in a state of relaxation. I've spent a bit of energy. My brain spent all its mental energy. And I can think about things much more clearly. And I'll often, in that place, hear a word from God, which will solve the problem completely. Or by the time I get home, I get a WhatsApp that'll solve the problem. And you're leaving room for God to do a miracle that you couldn't produce yourself. So in closing, I believe there's 2 elements to solving the pressure problem and how to build that capacity and what to do when you don't know what to do. There's the human element, which is to try and understand everything that's going on, order it, categorize it, and then bite off the smallest part of the apple and just work your way up and build that as a good management life skill. And the second element, which I think is far more important, is get into a state of peace, get into a state of clarity. Don't fight your brain, just let your brain run out of energy. And when you're in that place of peace, you'll see things in ways that you've never seen them before. Answers will come to you rather than you trying to grasp at water and chase it and never get anywhere. And I believe that'll bring a sense of peace, not urgency in your life. It'll be a sense of clarity, and people around you will start to feel that peace because it flows from you onto others, and they'll feel that clarity too. You'll have easier conversations. You'll be clearer in your communication with whatever team, whether you're going up or down or across, and you're just a nicer person. I'm not very good at this. I'm learning this, and I'm growing in my capacity for that too. But let me just say to you, do not quit until you're done. Stay in the game. Don't throw your toys out of the cot, and you'll see amazing things happen. Hope that encourages you. Bless you. See you tomorrow.